My name is Joseph Wang. I'm one of the developers here at Truflation. And so what we've developed here is called the Truflation Marketplace. And the idea behind the Truflation Marketplace is it's a way for people to find data and then to put that data on the blockchain. It has two audiences. One audience are people that are interested in doing things with data. And the other audience are developers that want to take the data and put it into their smart contracts. Let me start by connecting with a wallet. And so I already have a wallet. On the wallet, you can select the chain that you use. For example, in my wallet, I've selected Gorelli, and that's a test network. When you have a wallet, it will fill it in with the contract that the system's connecting to, and it will also connect to the blockchain for a particular system. So the way that this works is you have a set of services. So for example, right now, when you select all, it tells you all the data that's available on the marketplace. And so you can go through each data provider and then take a look at what data is being provided by that provider. And so, for example, for Truflation CPI, it lists the inflation indices that we have, and Truflation has not just the main index for US and UK, but it also has lots of sub-indices. So the other things that are available is that we have NFT data. We just put a whole bunch of commodities data, so we can, if you go down, we can have like gold prices and oil prices, spot prices, open, high, low, close. And then we also have climate data. We have also data for NFTs. We have data for DeFi Llama. And DeFi Llama is a site that contains things like the amount of activity for a particular blockchain or the price for a particular token. The other thing that we have is that we have a whole bunch of developer tools. And the developer tools I'll go into later, but those allow you to connect data with offsite data sources. This is the part where you go into the data discovery. So right now we have probably a half a dozen data providers, but the ultimate intent is for us to be sort of the application store for the entire internet. So we're looking for new data providers, and we'll ultimately have hopefully thousands or tens of thousands of different data providers. So the question then for a developer is, okay, once you have the data, how does this connect with the smart contract? And the way that we have it is on the right-hand panel, where you have an interface that contains 5 keys. And so to sort of illustrate how this works, I'll pick like the Truflation CPI and ask for the inflation at a given date. So what this does is that you have the service, which is the name of the service that's provided. You have sort of parameters. So this would give me the inflation rate on a particular date from the US. Now the other 3 boxes are for things that once you have the data out, that you can get the data in various formats. And one of the issues with getting data is that you want the format to be in a form that's available for a smart contract. So an example of commodities, right? What happens is that when you ask for the data in JSON format, it provides the date and the value. Now, what typically happens is that you want that information available for the smart contract. Here's an example of the key path, the API, and the multiplier. So what's happening in this situation is I'm asking for Truflation data. I've got the data ID, which happens to be gold. I've got it for a particular date. Now, what the server will provide back is a structure that contains the date and the value. And so what this says is I want to pull out the value. I also want it to be in uint 256 format, which is a particular format for smart contracts. The other issue with smart contracts is because all smart contracts are use integers, so you can't just put a decimal point in there. So you have to multiply it by a multiplier. In this case, we use 10 to the 19. So what the Marketplace allows you to do is it allows you to test out these parameters. So once these parameters get filled in, you can click Run API. And what this will do is it will run a test using the test contract. And so what this will do is it will first send the payment to this test contract. It takes a moment for the thing to get transferred. One of the other things about the marketplace is that you tell it how much link you want to pay, and the marketplace will calculate the amount of link that's required, or the amount of crypto that's required for a smart contract. And then if you pay extra, then it will return it back. So we've now sort of approved a payment of one link, and then it wants to execute the smart contract. And so then the system will go, and this usually takes about probably 30 seconds. So what's happening now is that the contract is sending the information onto the blockchain. Once it receives on the blockchain, you'll get a request ID. The request is now on the blockchain, so we're now waiting for the server to pick up the request. So this is how the run through goes through a test contract. So what happened here was the marketplace sent the information to a test contract. You have the test contract, our servers process and send the result back. Now the question then happens is, okay, what happens if you want to run your own contract? So this is actually the test contract that's being run by the marketplace. So if you look at the marketplace information, it has the address of a contract, and this is actually the contract that's used. And so the purpose of this contract is it's a starting point for writing their own contract, since normally a person who uses the marketplace, they're not particularly interested in running our contracts. They want to write their own contracts. And so what happens in this case is that you start with the constructor. The constructor contains the Oracle ID, the job ID, and the fee and the token name. These are things that you can get from the marketplace app. So the marketplace app contains the job ID, the Oracle ID, and it should contain the token name. The token name you can get from the chain link. So the token is the chain link token. What happens is that there are two commands here. One command is do request, and do request is a situation where you're having a contract that is generating an event by itself. So when you call do request, you have the service, the data, key path, ABI, and multiplier. And so if you want to run a request in your own smart contract, you just take the elements from the Truflation smart contract and basically copy them into here. What this contract does is that it uses the Truflation Marketplace, and the marketplace will send these items into the contract. But you can write your own smart contract where all these things are embedded within the contract. So what happens is that once you run this command, and you run it with a Web3 command or with your JavaScript thing, it sends the request to the server, and then it will it will return the server. So what happens is that you tell it to return it to fulfill bytes. And so fulfill bytes, what this will do is it will store the data, and then what will happen is that the Web3 system will print out the server. So here is another example, do transfer request. And this one works slightly differently. What this does is that the previous one will just send a constant fee to the service. In this situation, where what this does is it sends the same request to the server, but what ends up happening is that there's another field called refund to. So this refund to is used when you've overpaid. So for example, if you send one link and the service needs only a half link, what will happen is that refund to will send the refund back to the sender in this situation. This also sends the response to uses fulfill bytes to process the data. And so one of the issues that happens is that when you get back the information from the server, it returns it in terms of bytes. Now, it may be that you actually want to convert that to a number. And so we've got functions down here called get int52 int 256. So the situation here is that if you ask the marketplace to return an int 256, this is where it will get converted to something that the smart contract will use. So this is an example of a smart contract, and a person who writes a smart contract can modify this to use with the marketplace. We've shown you the basic information that's available. We've also shown some of the ways of connecting it to the smart contract. One final thing that I want to show are some of the tools that can be used by developers to create new applications. So the main tools that can be used are the HTTP bridge and the math engine. The HTTP bridge will allow your smart contract to connect to any web source of information. So for example, here, if I click currency example, if you put this in your smart contract, it will call this web link and will get the current euro value, and then using key path, it will pull out the euro to Emirati dinar exchange rate. The other thing that example on the HTTP bridge is this example where I'm using HTTP to get information about a book on Google Books. The HTTP bridge is kind of powerful because it allows you to take your smart contract and use the marketplace, and you can connect it with your own web service, or you can connect it with any existing web service. So the other extra service that we've added onto the smart contract, and this is all under developer tools, is the math engine. So what the math engine does is it allows you to do calculations. And so, for example, if you run this using the run API, it will take the number 3 and then square it. And you can do things like calculate an expression and then use the ABI and multiplier and put the number in your smart contract. And you can use pretty sophisticated math here. So in this situation, what I'm doing is I'm taking the derivative of x squared and then evaluating at 3.5. And so what this will allow you to do is to do fairly complicated math on your smart contract, which you wouldn't be able to do on chain. And so what the marketplace provides here is a set of data entries, a interface where you can run it against a smart contract, and then some tools that you can process the data off chain. Basically, this is what the marketplace does, is that we have a place where you have data providers. We have a place where you can test out the API. Once you've got the API running, you can run the smart contract and you can run the SDK. We also have links to the tutorials, to our Discord channel, to our Telegram group. And if you've got any questions on how this works, or if you've got any suggestions on what we can do to make this more user-friendly, please let us know. And the other thing that we're interested in is we're always interested in people that have data that want to add to the marketplace, and we're also interested in things that people would find useful in the marketplace that can be added.